The Rams have made a ton of roster moves. They re-signed an offensive lineman, and should the Rams sign this one big-time Pro Bowl receiver? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, now part of the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and if you already watch every single episode, do us a huge favor, support the channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment down below. Podcast listeners, we see those reviews that you write. We really appreciate it. Anytime you write a review, we read it on the show. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade. 24/7 Sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation, the LA Sports Report, also to NFL Radio for Westwood One. Today I'm flying solo, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. He's out on a little vacay. He'll be back next week, but we've got a jam-packed show. The Rams make some roster moves that we got to get you caught up on. Also, some more buzz about players that could be available to the Rams. We'll get into all that. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, so last time we talked, we broke down some players the Rams could or could not bring back, and the Rams, they ended up signing David Quessenberry. So David Quessenberry is back with the Rams, and it gives you some offensive lineman depth. This is not a move that signifies that he is going to be more of a priority or anything like that, but this is a smart, sensible move considering where they looked at him and how they viewed him. And this does make him the first signing of the offseason. He's a veteran offensive tackle, and Quessenberry was set to become a free agent in March, but the Rams, they wanted to get a deal done before that contract expired. So they signed a one-year deal last offseason after Alaric Jackson was diagnosed with the blood clots. They brought him in as depth at the time, and now they bring him back again. And with Rob Havenstein retiring, Quessenberry, he's someone that really gives you someone that understands the Rams organization, that knows their schemes. He's 35 years old. He's got a lot of experience. He gives good depth at that position, and the good thing about him, the biggest pro, is he can play both those tackle spots. He did play just 18 total snaps on offense last season, but he also did play 73 on special teams, so he can play 73 special team snaps, 18 total snaps. That's what he played last season, and I think, hey, he's a depth piece, and they feel good about him. And kind of what I've heard about him is they love how he plays and understands his role, and that he embraces his role. This is someone that doesn't view himself as someone that is trying to necessarily be a starter or anything like that. That you need guys like this in the NFL, and he's a professional, and he's a pro's pro. So it's good to see David Quessenberry back into the fold. Now, other moves that the Rams made, the Rams ultimately made 15 signings ahead of free agency. 15 signings to reserve / future contracts All of these players spend time on the Rams practice squad during the 2025 season. Some of you might know, some might not ring a bell, but this is the business of football. These guys are incredibly important. They serve a role for this team during practices, and they're there in case of an emergency. If guys go down, you need quality depth at certain positions across the board, and this is what these guys provide. So the 15 players that they brought back: offensive lineman A.J.R. Curry, offensive line Wyatt Bowles, wide receiver True Edwards, safety Tanner Engel, cornerback Alex Johnson, cornerback Cam Lampkin, offensive lineman Dylan McMahon, inside linebacker Elias Neal, defensive lineman Bill Norton, wide receiver Brennan Presley, tight end Mark Redmond, wide receiver Tyler Scott, safety Nate Valkazrasil, running back Jordan Waters, and wide receiver Mario Williams. So of that group right there, only 7 of those players saw time during the regular season. A.J.R. Curry, Tanner Engel, Lampkin, McMahon, Neal, Presley, and Scott. Scott of that group has had the most experience at the NFL level. He played 4 games as a 4th-round pick by the Bears in 2023. He started 4 games and played in 28 from 23 to 24. He caught 18 passes for 173 yards. He didn't play in 2025, though. So there are some guys that have experience, some that don't have as much, but Scott definitely has the most of the bunch. So the plan for these guys is that you just throw them back on the practice squad and then you use them as special team players unless something happens during the regular season, but really that is their role. So look, that's why you guys tune into this podcast. It's an everyday podcast. It's for the hardcore Rams fan that wants to know any and everything about their team. And yeah, sometimes this stuff just kind of slips through the cracks. But hey, my big fear in life is that you're at a party and someone goes up to you because they know that you're a super Rams fan, and they come up to you and they're like, hey, did you see the Rams brought back David Quessenberry? Or like, oh, hey, do you know that the Rams, they signed 15 players? Did you know that of those players that Tyler Scott, the wide receiver, has the most NFL action? My big fear, what keeps me up at night when I wake up at 3:30 in the morning in a cold sweat, is that you won't know these storylines. You won't know this information. So I got to do my best to keep you guys as plugged in as humanly possible when it comes to the Rams. All right, well, coming up next, we've got the top 10 Rams that have made the PFF top 100 players of 2025. So which 10 Rams made to the PFF's top 101 players list of 2025? We're going to get into that. And also, Mike Evans, a Los Angeles Ram. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Ever want to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you've already are looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love futures this time of the year. Whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title, it adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick cash in, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so do us a huge favor. Subscribe, getting close to 23,000 subscribers. So listeners on the pod, if you want to check out the YouTube version, do us a huge favor. Subscribe and join the party. Also, a major shout out to the Every everyday listeners that watch and listen to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Well, if you want to take your Rams fandom to the next level, join the Everydayers Club. You get access to ad-free audio. You get an exclusive membership to a Discord channel where you can talk Rams football with the Ramily all over the world, 24/7, 365, including myself. And you get exclusive merch and discounts to other Everyday Listeners Clubs as well. So definitely join that. Go to lockedonrams.supercast.com to learn more today. All right, here in our second segment, so the offseason. And at this point of the offseason, you explore different possibilities to improve your football team. And today we're going to talk about wide receiver Mike Evans. Should the Rams sign wide receiver Mike Evans if he does ultimately hit free agency? Now, the Rams are very all-in. Les Snead's already said that the all-in mode has been activated. They're going to do whatever they can to put this roster in the best position to win another Super Bowl this year. And with the Rams having more than $40 million in salary cap, $48 million, they can still open up more. Heading into free agency, they have the 8th most in the NFL as far as cap space goes. So when you have that much cap space, you have the ability to improve your roster in a lot of different ways. Now, receiver is not up there with cornerback. It's not, as far as just overall need for this roster. But I do think that adding another receiver is something the Rams should strongly consider, because I don't think you have a wide receiver 3 you can trust. And I also think that Davante Adams can't be trusted to play a full season. I love Tay. He's great when he's out there, but he is on the wrong side of 30. He's getting up there in his career. He missed games with a hamstring last year. And look, if he had played in week 16, maybe the Rams beat the Seahawks, maybe win the Super Bowl, okay? And Puka Nacua also plays a very physical style of wide receiver where he's missed time in his career as well. So I think above the fact that you need a wide receiver 3 to play alongside those guys, that a wide receiver 3 that you can envision as a wide receiver 2 makes sense. And that's the big issue I have with the Rams roster build right now, is that even if you thought Tutu Atwell had potential to be a wide receiver 3, or Konate Mumfield or Jordan Whittington, that's kind of where it ends right there. You don't see those guys elevating to a wide receiver 2, and you definitely don't see those guys elevating to a wide receiver 1. So I think that for this team, with Matthew Stafford still playing at an MVP level, still with a lot left in the tank to go after one more Super Bowl, it's just a contingency plan with those guys in front of them, Puka and Davante, knowing that, hey, if those guys had to miss time, if we have a wide receiver 3 that can act as a wide receiver 1 or 2 when they're out, it helps you limit your concern level if those guys get banged up at all. So that's one reason why. And I also think, too, in the future, we know Davante Adams is going to be gone after next season, most likely, and you're going to have to find a wide receiver 2 at some point. And then on top of the fact, this Rams team with Sean McVay has always been at their very best when you have 3 wide receivers you can trust. The great Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, he signed a 1-day contract to retire with the Rams. We're going to talk about that a little later. Look at all those groups. Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins, Cooper Kupp. I mean, there was always those trios of guys. OBJ, Van Jefferson. It was never just 2 plus 1. It was always 3 that you could trust. And I think, too, right now that Puka is better than any wide receiver that they've had outside of 2021 Cooper Kupp, but he's certainly at that level, or at least close to it. But I think getting a number 2, number 3, you have the number 2 in Davante, is the third guy that I think you're looking for. So could Mike Evans be that third guy? Well, the 32-year-old receiver is reportedly going to return for his 12th season, and he is going to explore his options in free agency. Now, he's just coming off a 2-year, $41 million contract with $29 million fully guaranteed by the Bucs. So if the Rams want to go after Evans like they did Davante Adams last offseason, they're going to have to make a big financial commitment. So let's kind of look at the pros and cons and start with the cons. So the con is the age. Wrong side of 30, like I said, he's 32 years old, kind of right there with Davante Adams. And then 2 is the injuries, because Evans, he's been banged up for the most part for the last 2 years. He missed 8 games with a hamstring injury early in the season, and then he broke his clavicle towards the middle of the season. He missed 3 games in 2024 with a hamstring injury, and usually the injuries don't get better, they get worse. He's just a little younger than Davante Adams, and he's going to be 33 at the start of the 2026 season. So would the Rams want 2 32, 33-year-old receivers and Davante Adams and Mike Evans? That's kind of the big question for me, because those guys have lost a step. It's just, will they lose 2 steps or 3 steps, or how will that look throughout this season if they want to have this kind of last dance, all in, let's go for broke, let's burn the boats, all gas, no brakes with Matthew Stafford. Now, the next pro, let's start with the pro, is this Rams team could get even better in the red zone. Adams has been fantastic for Matthew Stafford in the red zone, but Evans, he's great in that part of the field too. Nearly 50% of his 109 career touchdowns have come from 9 yards of the end zone or in. And for the Rams, they like to throw the ball in the red zone. So if you have Evans and Adams on the outside, just think of how difficult that would be for opposing defenses to stop. And then you could still run Puka Nacua if you want in the slot. You can move him around, move him through the gaps, and like they did during some of the playoff games, like we saw against the Bears, you can line up in the backfield and do really creative stuff. You can also use tight ends. You still have Kyrie Williams and Blake Corum. So I think it would make this team an absolutely elite red zone offense. So that would be a major, major plus. Now, the other con is the price. Mike Evans made $20.5 million per year during his 2-year deal with the Bucs. So it's not clear right now if he would get something close to that at this point of his career. But even if he's getting paid anywhere near that, that's a pretty big financial commitment, especially with the injury risk and his age. And also, too, the fact that the Rams have a lot of contract extensions that they need to consider making this offseason with Puka Nacua and Kobe Turner and Byron Young and Steve Avila, that 2023 draft class. Now, right now, Spotrac, they have Evans and his contract to be estimated in the ballpark of $13.3 million, which for someone that has accomplished as much as he has in this game, that's a pretty fair price. I think at that price, it's something you would consider, but it might be just a bit out of the Rams' price range if they're looking to make more financial investments in other areas. And I look at the cornerback spot. If they want to draft a receiver, are they going to take a quarterback? Are they going to look at Ty Simpson? So it's interesting to see what are the draft pick buckets that will address needs, and then what are the free agency signings that are going to address needs. Now, the next pro is that this is an elite player when he's right. I mean, let's just be honest here. I mean, Matthew Stafford and Mike Evans, just the thought of that kind of makes your mouth water a little bit. And even though he did have a down year because of the injuries, he caught just 30 passes for 368 yards, had 3 touchdowns in 8 games. He's still one of the best contested catch receivers in the NFL. He had 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons before 2025, and I think he'd have a reduced role in LA where, hey, if he's a wide receiver 2 with Davante Adams, I mean, that would be pretty incredible when you're trying to push the ball down the field, you're trying to extend drives, you're trying to score touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities with Mike Evans and Davante Adams in that typically when they do play, they'll give you 1,000-yard seasons, and their production is really just paired to their availability. So maybe with both of those guys by adding Mike Evans, maybe you reduce the injury risk and the wear and tear on Davante Adams. And with Davante Adams having Mike Evans, it works both ways. And then you also include Puka Nacua. You kind of spread it around, and you got multiple guys that are contributing to the group project. So we can still get an A, but guys don't have to work as hard to get that A because everyone is carrying their end of the bargain. Now, the cons, too, on this as well are there too many mouths to feed, right? Are there too many chefs in the kitchen, right? I don't think that'd be a problem with the Rams. I really don't. Just because I think that this is a football team that wants to win a Super Bowl. They know they have to pace themselves if they want to have that deep run into the playoffs. So they understand that, hey, to get there, they're going to need contributions from everyone. Like certain games will be the Mike Evans game. Then it'll be the Davante Adams game. Most games will probably be the Puka Nacua game. But it'll be the Kyron game, the Blake Corum game, the Terrence Ferguson game. And then there's 17 games for everyone to get their production, their numbers. And then hopefully you're going to have guys fresher and readier to go in the playoffs. I think that's something that is strongly a priority too. And then on top of that, the other pro is that this is, like I said, a team that when they have three weapons, they've had a lot of success. And I look at Odell Beckham Jr. He played 8 games with the Rams, had 44 catches for 537 yards, 5 touchdowns, had 21 catches for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns in the playoffs. So with Mike Evans, it could feel like, okay, this is like adding an OBJ, a star receiver, to an already star-studded wide receivers room. So I think that the pros definitely outweigh the cons if he is on board and wants to be a Ram. I look at about the price. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., he signed for $4.5 million to play half a season. And I mean, if you could get Evans for anywhere from $10 to $15 million on a 1-year deal, I think that'd be a major steal and something I would absolutely consider doing. So count me in on Mike Evans at that price. Count me in on Mike Evans at that price. I'm here for it. Mike Evans, Puka Nacua, Davante Adams. That's an incredible wide receivers room. And you pair that with an MVP quarterback, and they're going to be lighting up scoreboards around the NFL. But coming up next, which players made PFF's 101 players list this season? And Bobby Trees calls it a career. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. I love all the new ones. The Confetti Craze is great. The Fruity Rainbow is amazing, but Cotton Candy is my favorite of the new ones. It just tastes like that cotton candy you would get at the carnivals, at the circus. It's just really delicious. It also gives me a big boost of energy. And when you look at 5-Hour Energy, this is one of the best products we've ever seen. You get a shot that gives you a boost with 0 sugar. 5-Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned too. You got just all kinds of really awesome ones. I would like to see a root beer one. Wouldn't it be cool to see that? It'd be pretty awesome. And the cotton candy, like I said, is incredible. So find your new flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, here in our third segment, PFF, they put out their list of their top 101 players of the 2025 season, and 10 Rams made that list. That's impressive. Who were those players? We'll start with the lowest to the highest. Coming in at number 89 was wide receiver Devontae Adams. Coming in at 83, outside linebacker Byron Young, who led the Rams in sacks this season, had 12 sacks. Then 82, Kyron Williams. 71, offensive tackle Alaric Jackson. 68, outside linebacker Jared Verse. 59, my guy, Poona Ford at nose tackle. 58, defensive tackle Kobe Turner. 46, right guard Kevin Dotson. K-Dot is the heart and soul, the attitude of the offensive line. Love me some K-Dot. Number 6, the MVP Matthew Stafford, quarterback. And then number 2 on this list, wide receiver Puka Nacua. So Stafford and Nacua, the 2 highest ranked players. Only Myles Garrett was ranked higher than Puka Nacua this season on PFF's top 101 players list. It says about the Rams, the PFF MVP and NFL MVP is the highest ranked quarterback in this year's PFF 101. His 91.9 PFF passing grade and 7.7% big time throw rate paced the position. It was the first time in Stafford's career that he earned a PFF overall grade above 90, setting an overall career high at 38 years old. And about Puka Nacua, it says Nacua put up a 2,047-yard season when, including the playoffs, one of the most impressive years for a wide receiver ever. He led all receivers with a 96.1 PFF receiving grade, and his 3.57 yards per route run average was more than a full yard better than any other receiver not named Jackson Smith and Jigba. So that's pretty awesome. You had a Rams team make up basically around 10% of the best players in the NFL. So let's hope we get more players on this list next year. Okay, Bobby Trees, Robert Woods. He called it a career, announcing his retirement. But what makes it cool is he signed a 1-day contract with the Rams. The Rams tweet out, "We've signed Robert Woods to a 1-day contract to retire as a Ram." And Woods wrote on his Instagram, "After 27 unforgettable years of pouring my heart and soul into this game and 13 incredible years in the NFL, it's time for me to step away from playing for the sport that has given me everything. Football has never been just a game to me. It has been my passion, my purpose, and my lifelong dream. I cherish every moment my cleats touched the grass. Every time I stepped onto the field, I was determined to leave a piece of myself in every snap. I always wanted to have my presence be felt by my teammates, by my opponents, by everyone watching. I competed with everything I had, willing to do whatever it took to finish the job and bring home the win. Lifting the Lombardi Trophy and becoming a Super Bowl champion was the dream I held on to as a child, and I had the blessing to reach 2 and win 1 in 2022 is something I will treasure forever." So really cool to see. Robert Woods from Gardena, California. He started his career with the Buffalo Bills. He was drafted number 41 overall out of USC, played 4 years with the Bills before signing with the Rams in 2017, and he finishes his NFL career with 683 catches for 8,233 yards and 38 touchdowns, and his receiving yards with the Rams, that ranks him 10th in franchise history, and he's 9th in reception. So we all love Bobby Trees, and no one loves and respects Bobby Trees more than Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp went to Twitter and he showed some love to his former teammate. Cooper Kupp tweeted out, "Incredible career, worth its weight in just sheer productivity, but holds its greatest value in the people that have benefited from being your teammate and learning the game with you, playing the game the right way, whatever that means, but it means something to me because I just tried to do exactly what you do. We'll appreciate you, Bobby Trees." So Bobby Trees for life. Congratulations on a great career. Can't wait to see you at SoFi Stadium at some point next season. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, drop a like, write us a review on the podcast, read it on the show. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.